Today, we're going to unpack one of the most beautiful and honestly haunting poems out there, The Wild Swans at Coole by W.B. Yeats. Now, on the surface, it seems like a pretty straightforward, elegant nature poem. But if you look closely, there's a single, very strange number hidden inside that unlocks a whole lifetime of heartbreak. So, let's set the scene. The poem opens at a place called Coole Park. Imagine it. It's autumn, the sun is setting, and everything is super tranquil, almost perfectly still. It's the kind of quiet that makes you think, and it's got just a little bit of a sad vibe to it. And right away, we get the central image of the whole poem. The speaker is looking out at the water, and he sees this incredible sight. Not about 60, not dozens, but a very, very specific number. 9 and 50. 59 swans. And that's the big question, right? That's what kicks off this whole investigation. I mean, we all know swans famously mate for life, so you'd expect to see perfect pairs. So why 59? What's that odd number doing there? What's the one thing that's just a little bit off in this otherwise perfect picture?
Well, to find the answer, we have to shift our focus. We need to go from the world outside to the world inside the speaker's mind. Because this poem is really all about a huge contrast, a conflict between the beautiful nature he's seeing and the heavy feelings in his own soul.
The speaker tells us he's been coming here for 19 autumns to count these swans. 19 years. I mean, think about that. That is a huge chunk of a person's life, more than enough time for someone to feel like a completely different person.
And he has changed. He says it flat out. He remembers when he used to walk along the same shore with a lighter tread, back when he was younger, maybe more hopeful, but not anymore. Now he says all's changed, and his heart feels sore.
But the swans? Oh, they're a totally different story. To him, they look exactly the same. They're just as vibrant and alive as they were 19 years ago. They're unwearied, swimming around in perfect pairs, lover by lover. And while the speaker feels the heavy weight of getting older, he looks at these birds and realizes their hearts, unlike his, have not grown old.
So right here, the central conflict is just laid bare. On one side, you've got the speaker. He's alone. He's aging. He's full of sadness. And on the other side, you have the swans. They're paired up. They're constant. They seem timeless. They're basically everything he feels he's not.
Okay, so it's pretty obvious these swans are way more than just birds. The speaker is projecting all of his own desires and his own sense of loss onto them. They've become these incredibly powerful symbols. Let's break down exactly what they represent to him.
For him, they represent a kind of timelessness that he's lost, because they seem totally untouched by those 19 years that have changed him so much. They stand for a loyalty and constancy he never got to have, with them mating for life. And more than anything, they just radiate passion, energy, this powerful life force. In his eyes, they're this mysterious, beautiful ideal that he can only watch from a distance.
And get this theme of loneliness is so deep it's actually baked right into the poem's structure. In every stanza, the first and third lines don't have a rhyming partner. They're unpaired, just like the speaker. But then, the stanza always ends with a perfect rhyming couplet, a perfect pair, just like the swans. It's absolutely brilliant.
So we have this deep, personal sense of loss and being alone. But where on earth did it come from? Well, now it's time to connect the poem back to the poet himself.
Yet, the sad, lonely speaker watching the swans from the shore is none other than the great Irish poet W.B. Yeats himself. This isn't just some character he made up. This poem is a window directly into his own life.
Yeats wrote this poem in 1916, and at the time he was 51 years old. He was literally in the autumn of his own life, which makes that whole autumn setting feel so much more personal, doesn't it? And here it is. Here's the secret sorrow. For almost 30 years, Yeats was absolutely consumed by his love for a woman named Maud Gonne. She was this incredible actress and a fierce Irish revolutionary. He proposed to her over and over and over again for decades, and every single time she said no. Then, in 1916, her estranged husband was executed, and Yeats, thinking this was his final chance, proposed one last desperate time. She turned him down again, and it was right after that final, crushing rejection that he sat down and wrote this very poem.
So now it all makes sense. That odd number is completely intentional. He doesn't just say 59. He uses that slightly strange phrasing 9 and 50, which makes you stop and think. It's designed to make you notice the missing mate, to feel the painful incompleteness of the scene. That single unpaired swan, that's Yeats. Forever without his love, Maud gone.
The poem doesn't just end there, though. It actually ends with Yeats looking toward the future, but it's a future that feels really anxious and uncertain.
He starts to wonder where these beautiful birds will go next. But the real fear isn't just that the swans will leave. It's what their leaving would represent. These swans, these symbols of his passion, his inspiration, his idea of love. What happens to him, an aging poet, when they're gone? What's going to be left when all the beautiful things have finally flown away from his life for good?
And that leaves us with this final, really profound question. Yeats knew the swans wouldn't stay forever. He knew his youth was gone and that his great love was lost to him. But by capturing that exact feeling of loss in this incredible poem, he made it permanent. So it makes you wonder, what's more beautiful? The thing that inspires us for a moment and then disappears, or the timeless piece of art